up, everyone? Welcome to Screen Smash CouchSoup's only video game podcast where you can see us be idiots and dress like this because we're doing a Halloween special here on Screen Smash this week. We're going to have some fun, talk about video games, scary games. I got thrown off by Nick and the dead stare. Thank you, Nick. I mean, who are you? Anyways, you can catch us every week on YouTube on Fridays to catch us and all of our ridiculous nonsense over here. Tonight, joining me, I have Maria Chicken Kinnun,
Suck my chicken nuggies.
Louis P. First time ever Louis has not made a sound. Yet. And Nick, I believe. Maybe. There we go. We're all here tonight, dressed like a bunch of idiots, to talk about Halloween and scary games because scary games are fun and a lot of people like to play scary games during Halloween. A lot of us here are big fans of horror games. So we're going to talk about some of our favorite horror games, recommendations for some of the best games that we think, some of the different experiences you can have with horror games, as well as just what goes into games that makes them scary and why that's different from other mediums.
I think we missed one thing before we keep on going. You didn't introduce yourself.
Yeah, Dan.
I didn't. I'm Link, clearly.
Clearly.
The one who can make noises.
I'm the one and only Link, or I mean Zelda from that game about Zelda, right?
Good job, princess.
Well, it's not called Legend of Link.
Right.
That's true. We'll get to that.
Dude, it's clearly Zelda. Jeez. Anyways, I'm Dan. If I needed to clarify for you, Louis, if just you need to understand.
I
Host
was
of this show.
waiting.
It's all good, man.
Why did I come back?
We're doing silly shit for fun, all right? Don't worry about it. We could have been just purely in character, but whatever.
Shits and giggles.
Maria, you like horror games, so that's why you're here.
I do.
I'm gonna make you start. Tell us.
No. No.
All right, fine.
What is that reaction? No.
Louis, tell us about some of your favorite horror recommendations or horror
Before that,
games.
I'm going to correct her. That's not new. It's new.
No.
You're not doing it right. Anyway, all right. All right. Oh fuck, that's hard. Hey, baby girl. And then the cutest thing pops up while I'm going like, you should be scared of
Terrifying.
So
absolutely terrifying.
as of right now, I'm gonna say that the best horror that I've played this year has to be Liza P. I am literally obsessed with it. But I do also want to give a shout out to I'm not sure if it came out this year.
I don't think we have to focus on this year specifically, but sure.
Screw it. Okay. Well, I mean, as close as possible. The Dead Space remake was ridiculous. And sorry, one more. Sorry. That Layers of Fear. That like the big huge amalgamate. Oh God, it's good. Even if you play the originals, they like do a bunch of stuff that like is different and it's stupid gorgeous and it's on Unreal like 27, whatever they're on. Anyway, yeah, I like what was that? Never mind. I'll stop. I like horror games like a lot. They're so freaking good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a huge fan of horror games. I'm gonna take this off for a sec because it's hard as hell. It's me all along. I love horror games. I'd say I don't know if it really counts as a horror game, but the first BioShock game was like pretty horror.
It definitely has some good scary elements.
And that is my favorite game of all time. So that's definitely one that's up there. But I as Dan likes to call them, I'm a big fan of like the hidey horrors. So I like the Outlast games and Alien Isolation. So I won't be talking about those because I've talked about those on previous episodes. But I really like the fear games. which I think are really really cool horror games. I don't think they've always been like the best games ever made, but they are super fun. Especially the second one, Fear 2, is just bundles of fun and just like crazy horror everywhere. It's really really dope. I love Fear 2, especially there's a sequence where you play in a school and there's like these spirits that like come straight at the screen, and it's scary and it's frantic and it's so fun. I love Fear 2.
I'm gonna
Fear
break my
3
neck agreeing
was
with you.
I
but
thought
yeah,
Fear 1 was better.
the first
in my
two
opinion.
Fear games were so great. Cool, man.
I only just played Fear 2 like a few months ago. I played it on stream and I was like, all right, cool. Sure. It's a lot of shooty. It's a lot of dodging. It's a lot of shooting. And then maybe something kind of spooky happens and then shoot. Lots of shooting, more shooting, maybe something kind of spooky. I don't know. This is something me and Maria are going to get into down the road here about how her and I see horror versus how you might see horror, Nick.
I agree with Nick. I love Fear.
But I also am a huge fan of like the indie horror kind of games. So like the Little Nightmare games are super super cool. The Amnesia games are probably the scariest games I've ever played. Those games is like it's like proper sort of
yeah, good.
ambient horror, and they are terrifying to play. And another really really cool indie game that's a horror game is a game called Soma. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but it's like a
Oh,
small little
Soma.
indie game.
I haven't beat it yet.
Really
I
really
I
cool.
love that game.
I have Soma. It's
Really
on my
cool,
list.
thought-provoking story. It's awesome. So
Nice.
those are mine. I like the indie horrors are always fun to play. Like the Slender games, Slender the Arrival. super
Slender's
cool
a
as
good one.
well.
Come on,
That's
Maria.
cool.
Let's go.
Oh, god damn it.
Bug her
Okay.
off.
All right. I don't know if I actually have a favorite, but like I'm gonna go back to old school. I'm gonna have to say the Silent Hill series. That is the OG, like the start of some of the things. They're kind of boring, but they're like, you know, they kind of started it all. So I'm a big fan of that kind of
Take
like
it
look
back.
of it. I
fight
got
it, chicken, take it
I
back.
got my reasons. I'll kick you in the dick, Louis.
You have.
Recently, for reasons, I had to go back and play The Suffering, which is a little bit of a cult classic. Like if you like Silent Hill with guns, it's one of those. It's so iconic. You have the executioner guys that come in. They're designed by Stan Winston and everything. They're like a very Silent Hill with guns and shit. And lately, the mortuary assistant has been something different. The thing is with me is like with horror games is I get kind of bored with them. So I like ones that have got something different to them, like that go into a bit more detail than, oh, look, there's a monster. Oh, look, there's a child possessed. Just kick it in the face. That's all you have to do. So just kick it in the face. It's a kid. I do it all the time.
It's a kid just kicking in the
It's
face.
kid
Maria
kicking.
2023.
I know Maria also gets really into like the darker side of all of it. It's like, especially like the mortuary assistant with how gruesome and like grotesque that game can be.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a fascination with dead things, and to the point where I kind of creep people out. Like, I was watching Dan playing Mortuary Assistant, and I started getting really into like the embalming
The process.
situation. And they were like, "Oh, why do they have to embalm bodies?" And I'm in the chat being like, "Oh yeah, because they turn into actual sludge and stuff, and they have to like staple the eyelids down." And everyone's like, "Why do you know this?"
I'm sitting there in stream like doing like the like, ew, and Maria's like dropping facts about why people get embalmed.
And I'm like, "I know how to wire someone's jaw shut." So yeah,
In
I
case
like
you
horror.
need it, just so you know.
It's a useful life skill.
It's a skill on my resume.
I don't know if you would call it a life skill, more of an after
Hey,
death.
some people don't know how to shut the fuck up, so you need to wire their jaw shut.
Hi.
Dead people
I'm
keep talking.
people.
Anyone who knows me knows that I love the Resident Evil series, so that's always gonna be my go-to. I love all of the Resident Evil games, as terrible as they can be and as amazing as they can be. Some of the worst ones have their reasons for me why I like them, even though they have the awful tank controls. I like tank controls. I feel like the tank controls is a big element of what makes those games special and what makes them work. I like the fixed camera angles. I like the pre-rendered backgrounds. I'm a big sucker for that whole era of games, and I love when indie games try to recreate that magic. They don't always do it the greatest, but sometimes they do, which is pretty fucking amazing. Most recently, an indie horror game that I played is called Dino Trauma, which is a first-person version of Dino Crisis, and it's phenomenal. I highly recommend it. Go get it and play it. It's still in early access, I think, but I know they plan on doing 3 full episodes, but currently there's only 1. But it's super fun. It's super scary. Like, man, when a velociraptor jumps at my face in that game, I poop myself every time. Gets me every time with the shriek of the velociraptor. And it's just like, fuck, 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 fuck. Just start blasting. Yeah. That's definitely one of the good like indie shout outs. But I love all of them. Like, I'm a big fan of Dead Space. Man, I could sit here all night and talk about them all. But yeah, in general, just absolutely love my horror games. I prefer the action, like shooting, being able to defend yourself. I'm not a big fan of the hidey horror, like Nick said. I did recently play through Outlast and completed it, and I really enjoyed the ending of that game. The ending was great, but the gameplay for the most part was like kind of boring for me. And even to the point where, like, when I was playing it, there's like the corpse falls down from the ceiling and you hear this loud scream, and I just went back at it, like, like I just screamed back at the corpse, like, just for laughs. Like, I sit there and I'm like, okay, I can see how this scares people, but I'm just kind of like, eh.
You see, for for Outlast, it really did get me. None of the jump scares got me.
Right.
Not one damn jump scare. Like, see it from a mile away.
Yeah, that can be a bit cheap.
But I'll never forget when you first go into the basement when you have to turn on the thing, the backup
Like the
tower.
power.
Yeah. And there's one guy down there, but you're in water, and you don't know how to gauge it yet. It's like how far do I have to be for him to hear me? That took me like a day and a half to beat, because I'm like inching toward that stupid thing, and then he goes, and I'm like, no, because I didn't want to lose it. I'm like, I've been doing this for 2 hours, and I would, yeah, that kind of suspense is what really got me. I want to make one more shout out. The Call of Cthulhu is a terrible game.
Oh yeah,
It's fun, and I love the fact that there's like 10 billion different ways to play it, and you can, every time you play it, it's never going to be the same. But there's one part where you're fighting that monster, and you have to like stab it with the painting, and yeah, that that scene I thought was one of the like best hidey mechanics, because you could still fight back, and if you hide, your character is like deathly afraid of dark spaces, so you can't hide for long, or you start to lose life. It was such a good mechanic that's like, you can't just like go into a hidey hole and just wait for it to pass by. Like, it's right in front of you, and you have to move out, or you're gonna die anyway. That level of suspense, I remember doing that, just like, oh my god, this is what I've been wanting. This game is gonna be, and that was the only scene.
that mechanic has always been like my favorite in horror games. Like Amnesia has that kind of mechanic where if your character gets scared, then like you start to like the screen starts to like shift, and I think if you get too scared, like your character can actually pass out.
Yeah.
But like Outlast 2's got a great thing as well, where you can hide in a water barrel, but you have to stay submerged in order to be hidden. So the person that's chasing you or whatever, they might be right there, but you can't see, so you don't know, and you have to come up for air eventually. Like, that suspense is so effective.
Yeah.
I love that, because you're like, you need oxygen, but also that guy's got a big sharp stick and he's gonna stab my eyeballs.
Well, I gotta put this out there too. Like, if we're talking about games that have like that kind of like effect on the character, like, we can't not talk about Eternal Darkness, because Eternal Darkness was like the game
the meter
that had the sanity gauge, essentially, where you could literally go insane in the game, and shit would start happening in the game to mess with you because your sanity got too low. And like, man, that messed with me hard playing that game the first time. Like, the TV would like fake change inputs, like the volume would just drop out of nowhere, and you as the player would be like, what the frick is happening? Like, it made you feel like you were actually going crazy.
I never actually played it myself, but my cousin played it, and the way that he described it, where he's like, like my my screen doesn't have that like TV off thing where you're like, but when it did it, even he was kind of like, but just totally freaked out. Like I just want to see what's gonna happen when you know when my meter goes up all the way. He goes, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. It's gonna. It's terrifying. Don't do it. Don't, Louis. I know you're stupid. Don't. I'm like,
the most extreme thing I ever saw in Eternal Darkness when you lose your sanity was my character just kind of like stopped and started like screaming in pain, and then like their limbs started exploding, and then their head exploded, and it was like game over. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? And then it goes, and then like bam, I'm back into reality, and they're like, and it's like, oh my god, like that was extreme.
I feel like those insanity meters and stuff, they're good. Like I like them, but I feel like if they have to, I don't know. I have a problem with tension in games that I don't like. I don't feel it. So when my character is getting all insane and shit, and they're like, I'm freaking out, and I'm not, it's not matching up with my level of suspense. I'm like, stop being a pussy and just go for the door. It's just not like I'm not scared. You know, I'm just like, to me, I'm just like, I'm walking through a dark corridor and my character is like, and I'm like, just fucking walk. It's like, what are you doing? Like,
I had the kind of like the same reaction playing Outlast, where you're walking in the dark and you're using the night vision on the camera, and the whole time your guy's like, and I'm like, dude, chill, they're gonna find you.
Right? I had this like the same thing. I played the Blair Witch Project game, and you're like walking through the forest, and it's kind of like ooh, forest, and I'm just kind of like, okay. After a while, it stops becoming tense, and they linger it out to try and build suspense. But for me, it doesn't build suspense. So I'm just walking through a forest with a character going, and I'm like, how long is this going to go on for? This is getting really boring. So it's just I like those mechanics as long as it kind of adds. I don't know. I'm sick.
I'm going to jump in real quick because we've already kind of done it, transitioning into talking about our video game horror experience. Like, we're already kind of going down that hole. I'm just going to add in this little, like, this is what we're talking about now. We're going to talk about our experiences with horror games. Maria, you've already kind of started on your hot take here about, and like, you and I kind of had the same problem, and this is where I get like my main nickname of Deadpan Dan, where I'm just like playing scary horror games and like something terrifying happens. It's kind of like,
yeah.
Like, the running joke with me, like it'll kind of get me. Sometimes I'll kind of jump a little bit, but it's just kind of like, all right, move along.
There's a difference between something that's just going really quiet and then all of a sudden going really loud and jump scaring you to actually being something that's scary. That's the problem I have. Like, jump scares will get me because it's like, oh, it's silent, and someone goes, wah! And I'm like, okay, yeah, that was a change in, it was a reaction to a change in sound. It's not scary.
This is what can actually scare me. This is what I recommend to anyone out there. If you're like me, if you play horror games all the time and they don't really phase you, play a horror game sitting next to someone who's easily started, because then they freak out and they scream, and then their screaming makes you jump because you're like, fuck, why are you screaming?
It's right next to you.
Yeah.
It happens to me every time I'm playing a horror game with Brandy sitting next to me and something happens, and I'm like, I'm not phased by what happens, but then Brandy, wah! And I'm like, Jesus. That's what gets me every time is Brandy.
It's really difficult for me for a jump scare to actually work. And one of the best jump scares I have ever experienced was in The Last of Us 2. And it's at there's one table.
Yes,
I know when you're, now you already know what I'm talking about. Those of you who played it, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because it subverts your expectation absolutely completely. That you play two games that when you see a workbench, you are safe. Everything is fine. Everything is, oh my God, there's a guy kicking your ass. And like, I remember how ugly and violated I felt. Because I'm like, I was at the workbench. I was making myself stronger, and then you're
just gave it to a safe space.
I was doing upgrade.
Yeah, like, oh my God, that pure putrid violation of the one thing that, like, this is my respite. This is exactly what I'm allowed. I know that they can be around the bench, but I made it to the bench. there was nothing in here. And then you can hear the footsteps, and I was like, oh
Like,
no,
what-
no, no.
what?
And then you're just being choked. I'm like, that was good. Oh god, no matter how would you think about that game, that is one of the best goddamn jump scares in any medium ever. I
They did
love
something that
one.
no other horror game, because every horror game has the trope of like the safe room, and like that was established ages ago with Resident Evil and Silent Hill and all the. There's always a space where I'm in here, I'm good, nothing can get me while I'm in here. And then The Last of Us 2 said we're gonna do that, but one of them, just one, isn't.
I was gonna say, I think it was one jump scare that used to get me when I was like really younger, and it was Silent Hill 1, and it was the cat in the locker. With you going every time, that fucking cat. It was like a little. I had to actually mute the TV because I was new. It was kind of like, and you'd open up and go, just like, okay, it was like really loud. I think that's like the only jump scare that used to get me, and that's when I was just like, all right, whatever. I need to play it in mute after that because I'm like,
That reminds me too, because like Resident Evil 2, OG PlayStation 1 and 64 Resident Evil 2, for whatever reason, I even though I've played that game hundreds of times, there's one jump scare in that game that gets me no matter what every time. I'm like, I know it's coming. I'm literally like, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Ah!
is it the dogs through the window?
No,
Oh,
that's
Oh,
in
that's
Resident
classic
Evil
though.
1. That's a classic too. But I'm talking about there's that main hallway that when you go back through it the other direction, zombie arms bust through the window and try and grab you. But it does it just right where it switches cameras, adds the loud bang, and then the arms shooting out at you. And if you're not close to the window, they don't get you, but it's still like this sudden jar that like I said, I'm like going down the hallway. I'm like, I know it's coming. I know it's coming. I know it's coming. Bang! Ah! Like, fuck.
The first time I played through both scenarios, and I noticed that you can only use the shutter for one.
Yep.
Like that messed with me too, because you know, I don't know. Like there are definitely some clever ways to fix tropes, and I love when games, movies, whatever do that, and it pisses me off when they're like, "We got one gimmick. That's all you're getting. Everything's a jump scare." I'm like, ah.
Yeah, that's the thing I don't like. When it's constantly that's all they happen. Like a lot of games now, the jump scares, that's all they have. It's like I am so bored with this.
Yeah, I can't do the
It's
jump scare
old.
games.
Yeah.
There's one that I love, which is a game that doesn't have a lot of jump scares, but Bioshock 1 did this, and then they did a similar jump scare in Bioshock Infinite, where in Bioshock 1 you're in this like doctor's office and you have to press a button or something, and like the whole room goes like foggy, and then like the fog disappears and there's nothing. There's no jump scare. And then I think you have to go and you have to like press a button or something, but then like you're stuck in place. Like you can't move, and you're like, what the hell? As soon as you turn around, there's this dude just in your face. And he doesn't scream, he doesn't say anything, he's just there. There's no music sting or anything. It is terrifying. That one always got me. And then they redid it very similar in Bioshock Infinite, where there's that enemy that has like the horns on its head, like the air horns on its head. Where again you press a button and then you can't move, you turn around, and then as you turn around, this thing just goes, "Rah!" It's a screaming, and it just every single time I play it, I get like a little bit of a jump. But that first time in Bioshock Infinite, I screamed, I dropped my controller, I was just like all over the place. I mean, that's a jump scare that pays off, because Bioshock Infinite, there's no other jump scares. It's just that one, and it just hits like it's so good. But when you have a game like, I mean, like Five Nights at Freddy's, I mean, that's literally just jump scares.
Yeah.
And it gets so old so quickly. So once you've like died a few nights, you're like, okay, cool. Jump scare happens. You're like, okay, let's restart.
Here's my thing about Five Nights at Freddy's. It's always sucked. It's always been bad. It's never been good. It is just a game form. It's cheap and stupid, and I hate it. It's the game version of like, it's fine, because they've never been introduced to anything else. But like you know, the first time I played it, I didn't understand why people got like scared. Even that remember that the maze that had that jump scare at the very end, that like you had to like, you know, get through the thing, and it was, you know, the Blair, or not Blair, it was a exorcist. She comes out, "Ah!" I didn't get scared because I thought I just lost, and that's what happens when you lose. So like I get the same thing whenever I play Five Nights at Freddy's, is that like, oh, I lost.
Yeah.
It tells you something scary is gonna happen. Do the thing, or it's gonna be scary. No, it's gonna be scary. You gotta do it. And we scared you. No, the fuck you didn't. It's like you told me.
It's like when your kid, like a kid, jumps out from the corner, like, "Boo! I scared you!" Like, yeah,
No.
I'm terrified. When games do the ambient scares like really well, like Mortuary Assistant, I loved Mortuary Assistant for this because it didn't rely on jump scares. If it had them, they were very subtle for the most part. But like the best thing about Mortuary Assistant is like you turn around and you just see like a shadow in the corner, and you're like, "What is that? What is that? What is that?" And then it would go away, and you're just uncomfortable at that point. You know, you would just turn around and you'd see like a man in a gimp mask staring at you from the corner of the ceiling, like, and you're like, "Oh, okay." You know, it's like it just makes you uneasy, and like I'm like, I like this so much better as horror than just like, "Boo, we scared you." Like,
Yeah.
That's where horror games are at its most effective. Where like when I played through the Amnesia games, like I've been able to play through a lot of horror games and get through them relatively easy. I don't get too scared. But the Amnesia games, like the first one, The Dark Descent, I played through like the first hour and a half, and legitimately I had to stop because I was so freaked out. And I had maybe faced in an hour and a half, I'd maybe faced two enemies. And it was just that constant fear of like, where is it? When is it gonna attack? Because we're so trained to believe that when things are getting scary and creepy, something's about to jump out at you. But that game just keeps you teetering on that edge of like, it's gonna come, it's gonna come, it's gonna jump out you. Maybe around that corner, maybe behind that door. It's coming, it's coming, and then it just never pays off. So you're always on edge. Like, and there's so many moments where like you hear a monster and then you look and you see it walking like down the hall, or it just crosses like a door frame or something, and it's just like you just that constant threat is right there, but it never takes you. And there's no jump scares in Amnesia, there's none at all. But when a monster appears on screen, it's like the most terrifying thing ever, and it's more effective than like pounding you with jump scares. It's always so much
The
scarier.
only pushback I'll give you on it is that it's not necessarily a jump scare, but as soon as the monster sees you, it does that like it goes from like completely
Yeah.
quiet to like "Wah!" that I would kind of label under jump scare. But the good thing about it is that it's not triggered. You're not doing that when you walk into this room. Like you're absolutely right about you're not like there are some jump scares in the sense that like you walk into a room and then like everything kind of flies off the bookshelf, but it's not like
Yeah.
it's not like Five Nights at Freddy's. It's not like even
in your face.
yeah even Outlast where like it does that. And then it's just screaming at you and like scared. Like it doesn't do that. It's just kind of like, well, I mean, if you're scared, right? There's ghosts here. I don't know.
Oh.
It's kind of spooky.
now I'm remembering too, like one of my chief complaints I had with Outlast when I was playing it was that all of the jump scares had literally no impact on what you were doing.
Yep.
Every single one of them was just some random dude would pop out and like reach for your face and scream suddenly, and then they
Just
bounced.
take-
They were
take
Takes
gone.
you out of the
They were
game.
just, they were just gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you had nothing to do with this. Thanks for playing.
I think for me, like jump scares, they don't really work. Gore doesn't work for me because I've seen it all.
I just love gore. I'm just like,
And it's just
ooh.
like ghosts and stuff and like religious imagery doesn't work on me. I don't believe in them. So it's kind of, I think the thing that for me is building tension when games like kind of coming from people who are very evil kind of do it to me. You know, like mental health imagery, that kind of like that build up, like Senua's Sacrifice. You know, that constant torment in her head when she's like listening to that, and it kind of builds up and it builds up. It's not something that, for me, with horror games, the reason why I love them is not the gore and stuff. It's sometimes it's the story and that kind of torment of the character that just keeps building and building and building and building and building. And like with like it's not a horror game, but the Max Payne, the bloody trail with the crying baby, and you like go everything, and there's like it's
easily one of the most horrifying scenes in a video game.
Like, It's exactly, but it's not. It is gory because of the blood trail, but it's more the mental torment that comes from it, and that's kind of why I liked, games like Silent Hill. It wasn't necessarily the gore or anything. It was more the kind of the torment
The
and the stuff,
context
and like,
behind all of it.
yeah. And I find that
Yeah.
like Resident Evil 7, I laughed my way through that entire game. But my
Very
favorite
goofy.
my favorite part of that game is the family at the beginning at the dinner table, because being in that situation with that family is very Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and like you're in a very vulnerable state and stuff, and just kind of that feeling of being in pressure where you're with someone who isn't mentally stable. That's more scary for me because I've been in situations like that where I've been in unsafe kind of feeling around people that are not quite there in the head. So that's actually terrifying for me. So yeah, for
Are
me,
you
it's
saying
just,
you've seen somebody cut off somebody else's limb and then they just put it back on?
yeah, I'm from East London, of course I have.
Clearly.
We just will it back on.
Just go,
I'm fucking British. Sorry, I had to.
Sew
I
it
had
on,
to.
get a pint, you'll be fine.
we got free healthcare, mate. What are you talking about?
All right, that wins the night now. Bye.
There you go. Free healthcare. Just boop, your hand just regrows.
Ring, ding, 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 ding. Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I totally
this is-
derailed that shit, but that was worth it.
Yeah, but for me, that's it. It's smart horror. It's more
Mhm.
about the mind, and it's thought about. It's not just, you know, it's just like it's more kind of playing on that kind of fear of insanity, of that fear of kind of just being around people that are just mental stuff. That's the stuff that kind of gets to me. I'm like, I find it so fascinating, really. Yeah.
But I think it's an interesting point you bring up. Like you find that scary, and I've always found that fascinating about like horror games, horror movies, whatever it is. Because I mean, I think that fear is like subjective, right?
Mm.
Something that you find scary, someone else is not necessarily going to find scary at all,
Right.
right? So like, I'm not scared of spiders, but like I think Brandy's scared of spiders. So like that's like a big difference. So you might be terrified of ghosts, but somebody else is like, nah, I
Yeah.
don't believe them. Doesn't scare me at all. So something like Outlast might be super terrifying to someone because like the first game, it's all about mentally unstable people. But another person might just be like, oh, well, I don't find that
Mm.
scary at all. But then like a game of like a ghost chicken, they might find terrifying. I think it's all really subjective, and it plays into the whole experience of playing a horror game. Is that like, if you find something that's scary for you, then it works. That's what like amnesia is terrifying for me, but someone else might be like, it's not so bad.
I was just gonna say that like I completely brain farted.
Sorry.
I completely it was no, it's because Nick is making a great point, and I was gonna piggyback on what Maria
Thank
was
you.
talking about. It was kind of in the same realm.
Do you need me to vamp so you can try to see if your brain comes back around to it?
Let me think while making sound effects for you.
That-
All right. It didn't do
We need
anything.
to
Were you
rewind the
thinking-
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So
Yeah.
because I'm listening to Nick and I'm like, oh my god, that's a really good point. And then I totally blanked on what Maria was talking about, and I don't remember. But yay,
All right.
neurodivergence. so all right, I'm gonna make up something anyway. Along the lines of like the kinds of horror. I'll piggyback on Nick. The kinds of horror that each of us experiences. I think that some of the best horror is always going to be the kind that now I remember is always going to be the kind that is most universal that we all can share in. That's why I was going to say Final Fantasy. Resident Evil 7 was so good. That's why it was so well received.
I mean, Final
Because-
Fantasy is never-ending torture, so I get it.
Yeah, I'm gonna plug somebody else absolutely on this one, but Nightmind, if you haven't seen him, wonderful, one of my favorite YouTubers, does an incredible deep dive on Resident Evil 7 and why it was so effective, why it was so good. And I mean, he goes through everything that, and it's such a perfect genre that literally hits every single type of horror that there is. Like literally, it goes Texas Chainsaw Massacre opening. Then we're gonna do body horror with the big spider chick,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna hit like the regular like Saw franchise with the sun, and then we're gonna go the regular spooky kind of in your face horror with the young girl that she even does a lot of jump scares because that's what she finds kind of scary. And it's this wonderful beautiful deep dive on like how it was so perfect and why it was so well received. And I hear a lot of like when we're talking about like the submersion or subversion of the expectations. I can't remember who it was, but I saw a video also that was talking about why Resident Evil 2 remake was so good. And one of the best examples of that is when you go through the hallway that's supposed to be the liquor the first time you see the liquor.
Mm-hmm.
Those of you who have played it know what's coming.
Well, they
Those of
did
you
that
who have-
in Resident Evil 1 remake too. They did all the subversion of expectations.
Yeah.
And then, I did exactly that. Like, I'm going around the corner, like, here comes the liquor, here comes the liquor. And then no
nothing.
liquor. But then it appears at a different spot that I wasn't expecting. I'm like, there's that fucker,
Yeah, but what I liked about it, what they were saying is that like when you get to that point, you also if you've never played the game, it's still spooky because you don't know what did all this damage. What is this? So it hits both nails. The writers and the developers for those games are on another goddamn level. Like nothing is as good as the modern Resident Evil franchise, in my opinion. I just think modern Resident Evil is the absolute standard, and we should absolutely give it the credit that it is due.
I never stopped shouting out my love for those games and why I
Oh
think
yeah,
they're the
no,
best.
I know that. Even Coco thinks so too.
I wanted to say too, with Resident Evil 2 remake, I think one of the most terrifying sequences in the entire game is the part where you play as Sherry hiding from Chief Irons because you're this vulnerable little girl that can't do anything but hide from this terrifying human being, and you're like, I don't want to think about what would happen when he finds her. So like that was actually one of the most suspenseful parts of the game because I'm like, sure, blast zombies, kill lickers, whatever, like
they tear your face open. Okay, but this is a little girl and a guy. They don't show you what happened. He just grabs her and walks away. It's like, I don't like that.
I wanted to say something earlier though. I was going to piggyback on something that Maria was talking about with like horror games that kind of like don't really hit right for, I would say, I don't know why it confuses me why anyone finds these games scary, and that's the narrative horror games like Until Dawn, the Man of Medan, all of those games. Like I know so many people that love Until Dawn and they swear it's the most terrifying thing in the world, and I'm like, I'm just playing like a choose your adventure storybook, and I watch a bunch of teenagers scream and yell like I'm watching a Friday the 13th movie. It's a slasher movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was interested when they throw in like some of the supernatural bits where it's like, okay, it's an actual monster, not just some dude in a mask. But at the same time, I'm still just watching a bunch of teenagers like freaking out and just being dumb. And
those games, I'm just like, please kill them.
I think they're funny because I want to see how horribly I can kill the teenager.
Right? Just kind of like, please give me a chainsaw.
I will absolutely defend Until Dawn because I absolutely loved it, but I will 100% agree that it is not a scary game at all. It's really cool. I'm obsessed. I love that sort of late 2000s genre of film, that like B grade slasher type movies, like I can't even think of any right now on the top of my head, but those kinds of movies are so fun where you've got young adults, teenagers in a setting, and there's like a lot of interpersonal relationships between them, and then you add a killer. Like that formula is so entertaining for me. So Until Dawn, I absolutely loved.
It's good. It's
But
popcorn.
at no point was I like, it's a popcorn, exactly that. No point was I like, this is super scary. And that's what the one thing I don't like is that's what the game tries to do, where it gives you points where it says like, what do you find more scary, clowns or zombies? And then it's like, do you find like, is blood and gore scary or spiders? And then that changes a scene that you'll see later, and it's kind of really predictable. So it's very gimmicky, but it's absolutely not that scary. I wouldn't even say it's scary at all, but it's a It's a super fun time. I love Until
Mm.
Dawn.
See,
Yeah, I get
I think
bored.
that's really a valid point too. Is that like I hate slasher movies so much.
Yeah, I hate slasher movies too. Like I
They don't.
despise them.
I'm just like just get a broomstick and then swing it around above your head like a professional martial artist. Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't mind like Jason. I don't mind Mike Myers because they're not slashers. They're supernatural beings. They
Yeah,
are
they're more
unstoppable
supernatural.
machines.
Yeah, and
That's why
it's not
I
like
love
Ghostface and
Chucky.
Scream kind of
Yeah,
thing where it's just a dude in a mask.
just get a broomstick. It's
Kick him in the
longer than a
dick, it's
knife.
fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Kick him in the dick.
Go to the Y and get some self-defense classes over a weekend, and you'll be able to defend yourself against these idiots.
Yeah.
Like I never fall for it like that, but that's why. And also Jason, like pretty specifically for Friday the 13th franchise, it's built to like kill bad kids.
Mhm.
That's why they're like, look, these kids are smoking pot and they're also having sex. Like you're good, they're gonna die.
You know what's funny though is if you watch the
that.
documentary on Friday the 13th, the producers actually said that they had that was not a part of their production at all. They just wanted to make a movie where a bunch of kids get murdered. That was it.
It just fell into its own trope.
And
But that's what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. Is that like eventually it turns into like this thing where it's like now it becomes fun. Now you're rooting for the bad guy because these kids suck.
yeah,
So
they're
you're
assholes.
you're not going to get scared at these movies. You're going to have fun. But I think that some franchises kind of fall by the wayside. Like if you look at something like what's that called again? The Paranormal Activity.
Mm.
Like for me, Paranormal Activity 1 is one of the defining scariest films I have ever seen because it literally hits exactly what I am personally afraid of. I've been training my whole life to be able to defend myself. What the fuck do you do against the thing you can't see, hear, smell, nothing? And it's stronger than you no matter how strong you get. It's going to kill you, and now it's just playing with its food before it feasts. Like that's the scariest thing imaginable. And then after that, they're like, oh, these kids have superpowers, and we're gonna do the same scares over and over and over and over and over. Like instead of taking inspiration for it and going, oh, with no budget, we can make some of the scariest films, which now they're starting to do. Like they just tried to copy and paste, and the same thing started to happen, I think, with horror, which was you establish that it's a good horror. Eventually, it has to turn into action because now you understand what the horror is, and now you're just fighting it. But the issue was that they never upscaled, they never made it more, and that's what Resident Evil is now starting to do. That every time a new chapter comes in, yeah, it's getting a little more on the you can defend yourself side, but you still have no clue what's going to happen. When I saw that goddamn baby, this whole conversation is about seeing that baby in the basement. That destroyed everything. That's perfect horror. That's so good.
I'm going to use that because I'm going to segue into what should be our final discussion, which we've done again. We've clearly already transitioned into. We were going to talk about what makes a game scary. We're already there, but I'm going to preface it because also what makes a game scary. Nick, you had some thoughts about like playing solo or playing with others.
One of the things I think makes horror games super scary is the fact that like oftentimes you play video games by yourself. So you're in a room alone, right? And I like to turn lights off and things like that. So it becomes like this isolating experience where you feel like there's no one else that can sort of help you. Because normally when you watch movies, you watch it with friends or you're in a cinema with a whole bunch of people. So that's like it adds to the experience. But I think the main thing what or in my opinion that makes horror games so scary is that it's the immersive experience of you having to actually complete the actions that your character has to do is I think a lot more powerful. If you're watching a movie,
That's why
you're watching
Until
the
Dawn
characters
isn't
do
scary.
everything. Because you're basically watching a movie. So if you're watching a movie, TV series, you're watching all the characters do everything. But if you are playing a game, their survival is dependent on your actions, right? So, I think that's how like gaming can be a lot more powerful as a storytelling device where, if there's an emotional moment where like someone's got to kill their best friend or it's like you think about zombie movies where like someone's infected and let's say it's like a character's wife or something like that, and they've got to kill them, put them, before they turn into a zombie. That's an emotional moment. So if you're watching that in a movie, you're seeing it happen. But in a video game, maybe the video game tells you you've actually got to press the button to pull the trigger. So I think that becomes a lot more of an immersive experience. That's a very simple example, but the idea of like playing through a game like Outlast, just I'll use as an example, you've actually got to run and hide from the things that are chasing you. And the survival of your character depends on it. I think that that's something that immerses you a lot more in the world and definitely hypes up the creep factor.
Yeah, it's a fair point to what makes video games kind of like the superior medium when it comes to horror rather than movies or
Mm.
TV. Because when you have to live out the fear, the terror, the scary thing, like how many times do people like don't like horror games and they see something scary, they're like, oh nope, 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 nope. They just nope out and like, I gotta stop, I gotta do this, they gotta walk away. There's definitely the immersion there and like having to complete certain tasks or like react quickly when something terrible is about to happen and you like have the like like you start panicking.
It can also work in the inverse as well,
Mm.
where if you're playing a game and you keep dying to the same boss, eventually you'll get used to it and you'll be like, oh, this is not scary anymore. If a boss is super glitchy or something like that, like Dan, you playing Outlast the other day,
Mhm.
Dan got stuck on this boss that I even said, like, I got stuck on this boss. It took me ages to get past this guy because he's super glitchy where he just spots you from like a mile away and immediately start chasing you. So eventually you get frustrated because you can't get past this point anymore. And that guy doesn't become scary anymore because he's already shown you all the
He's just
scares because
obnoxious
you've
at that
died
point.
100 times trying to get past
Yeah.
him. And it's just obnoxious and it's just annoying. So the same as it can be more immersive to be actually trying to help your character survive, it can also kind of take away from the experience when you've died a bunch of times and you're like, okay, I'm over this. I just want to finish the damn game now.
That's how I get. I get so impatient with it. I'm like, this isn't even scary anymore. Can we just get on with it? It's like, yeah, I get a lot of that. Yeah.
I had the same reaction with Inside, which
Mm.
is one of the best, like ever. It's one of the greatest games of all time.
Mhm.
I think that everybody needs to experience it. But
Absolutely.
there's a couple times, there's a couple moments that are just so bizarre in what you're supposed to do, and just it's so cryptic. It's like these are never gonna figure it out, fucker. And then like eventually you get there, but that's because it hasn't shown you that mechanic yet. And at a certain point, I was just like, okay, yeah, okay, there it is, and I drown. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what happens. I totally get. Yeah, I get it. Can I survive once to find out what else happens in this goddamn game? Like you get this feeling of like this is no longer fun. Like I've been talking about how I've been playing like again a game that I've been talking about for weeks now, Fury, like things like that. But now I'm getting introduced to how like you're supposed to be like Liza P is the first like Demon Souls style that I'm going to beat. I am fixated. I'm gonna beat this game. It's taking me forever, but that's because it's taking me forever to play games anyway. I am going to beat this game. And there are times where there's certain bosses that I'm just like, this isn't even fun. Like there's no scale of like it takes this much to get here. You have proven, but you're also a little bitch, and we're just gonna keep killing you. And because it's a boss and you can't level up because every time you die, you get the same amount of health and same amount of stuff. It's just not gonna happen, you dumb little dirty bitch, you stupid asshole. You suck, and we're gonna keep reminding you over and over again. That's why I don't like Demon Soul games. Like that's why I hate these things. Because it's like after a while, there's no like you're not gaining anything. Like if there's some kind of pattern that you can clearly see and go, okay, when he moves like this, I got to go this way.
That was my issue with Outlast and that boss. He had no pattern. He had no sensibility. There was no rhyme or reason to his actions. He was just like, there was no way to be like, oh, I see. When he does this, then this happens, and I can go there, and that's how I get past him. None of that.
See, I think they try to do that on purpose to make him to make the AI unpredictable, so it would feel more natural. But I feel like they didn't execute it. Not like Alien Isolation. The Aliens AI.
Oh, the Alien AI is great in that.
You can never predict what the alien's gonna do, but you can get past it in a way that's natural.
Alien Isolation did that brilliant move where like the alien
Mhm.
would hide in vents and you would see like its tail or its head, but sometimes it wasn't its tail or head. It was just a pipe, and you were like, "Is it the alien? Is it the alien? I can't tell. It looks like the alien, but I can't tell." You know.
That's really good.
I really quickly need to, before you jump back in, Louis, I want to shout out Limbo. If we're talking about
Mm.
Inside, I want to talk about Limbo because
Yeah,
Limbo was the
absolutely.
first game that studio did. It's beautiful, it's haunting, it's dark, it's fucked up in its own way, and the puzzles are just brilliant. I love Limbo, and I think it deserves to be on any list of like good horror games.
Absolutely. No, all I was gonna say is just that, and I'm trailing again. Yay, and whatever, just like yeah. That's all I was going through the head. So I was talking about Limbo. No, you're talking about Limbo.
Retrace your
God
steps.
damn it! I have to retrace my steps. You're watching ADHD in action. All right.
Lazapi, Fury.
Being
No,
a game.
no,
Dark
no, no, no.
Souls, Demon
Okay.
Souls.
Fuck Demon Souls.
One of the
Yes,
no,
with
no, no,
it.
no. Yeah.
With it.
Okay. No. So, Batman, Arkham Asylum.
Batman.
Ooh,
Arkham
yes.
Asylum, number one, has some really fucking ridiculous horror out of nowhere with the Scarecrow. They did him so
Scarecrow
right.
and Crocodile.
God, man.
Ooh, boy.
Killer Croc was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Ooh.
But we're talking about like things that show progression, show that once you start to understand what you're supposed to do, nothing was better than Dr. Freeze. Or Mr. Freeze. Like that is one of the best boss fights ever conceived, because you cannot do the same thing twice. So it forces you to learn your arsenal, forces you to actually really like get a dynamic for what your character is possible of doing, so that for later on down the road when things start getting really hard, because after him, that's the halfway point. Then you fight what's her name?
Ivy.
Poison Ivy, and that's one of the best fights in any game. It's so hard, but you have to really think about these things. And when I played that fight, at first I was getting really pissed off because I couldn't figure out, like, why can't I beat him? And they're like, do something different. Like, well, that sounds easy. And then I start seeing all the stuff that I never tapped into, and I start going, oh my god, I could do that. All right, cool. Yeah. And then it started to make me think that way for certain games, because I just think back and I'm like, what did I do for Mr. Freeze? You know what? Okay, I haven't tapped into these things yet. Like, that's what's happening with Liza P. I haven't used this item. I haven't tried this thing. Next thing I know, like, that was easy. All I had to do was just learn how to block 17,000 times in a row, and I didn't know I could. And sometimes it's stupid. It is sometimes stupid. I love Liza P, but you're dumb. Anyway, all right, shut up, Louis. I have hair now.
You do.
Glorious, glorious hair.
That's all that matters, Louis. That's all that matters. So
Who
you
would
have
like
hair.
to dance folklorico conmigo? Ding, 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 ding. That's my Legion arm, by the way. It's a Spanish guitar.
Uh-huh.
Oh, is that what that is?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Here we
so
go.
we can close it out here, just to reiterate on some of our favorite horror games, what makes horror games special, the immersion, the actions. Some horror games fail miserably. There's a lot of bad knockoffs out there. I keep seeing a lot of like Resident Evil knockoff games that I'm like, I'm tempted, but damn, it looks terrible. And I've played some bad ones, but there's some good ones out there. Most recently, a quick shout out is the Ghost at Dawn. It's a really clever Resident Evil like, and it also has that mechanic too, where your character can't be in the dark too long, or else they start taking like mental damage and they will die from being in the dark. So you actually have to like at least light a match to like walk through darkness.
I think there is something into what Nick was saying about like video games being their immersion is what makes them scary. And I feel like any game that gives you the decision to, like the choice to try and make a decision to get out of a situation or to do something will instantly increase the level of fear or whatever it is, because it's your choice, you know?
Mhm.
And saying that, like, because I've been playing The Suffering again, that's one of the first games to have a morality system. And for anyone who haven't played that game, it will give you the choice to be the most vicious bastard on the planet or not. But you do, because you have the internal you want to be evil. Like basically you are a prisoner in a thing. But as you go through you have a voice in your head that will tell you to do evil things. You don't have to, but you do because it's funny to murder people in very horrific ways. So
Most people don't, but okay.
like they'll have a prison guard sitting in an electric chair, and you'll walk past him, and this voice will go, "You should kill him," and you're like.
Well, the game does like it's like the angel and the devil on the shoulder because you hear
Yeah.
like your girlfriend's
Yeah.
voice or whatever, like "No, save him." You know,
But the thing is, like, as I'm walking around with these,
She
and
doesn't hear the angel.
oh, I'm sorry, but like when you're walking around with an NPC that won't move quick enough, and the voice in your head goes,
fuck you.
"You should kill him. He slows you down." You're
And
like,
you absolutely do it.
motherfucker.
I'm just getting flashbacks now of playing Duck Hunt and just like shooting the fucking dog, like "Fuck you, fuck you,
Well, that's
dog."
because the dog was a dick, but I just say like the game is doing that on purpose to go really slow, so that you do decide like I could do it. I could do it. Like
I could do it, and it in a way it kind of like taps into your that bad side of you, because when you do it, you're like, I really shouldn't listen to this guy because it's making me a little weird. But you know, it's just like it's great. I love having that choice though, to be like, should I be evil? Yeah. I mean, I can't kill people in real life, so why not kill people in games?
I mean, that's 99% of what you do in video games.
Yeah, exactly. Like just murder people. It's fine.
It's fine.
Fine.
he's a main character. Do I need him around though? I mean, it's giving me the option.
It's giving me the choice. I mean, these developers have spent time programming this choice. I should use it to respect their work.
I mean, there's so many
I am
games out there
doing
too
you a
where you're like,
service.
you are the monster, and your whole existence in this game is to just murder people.
What,
Like,
what, what about the voice actor who worked on the other lines you're not going to inevitably hear? Yeah, he sucks, but these guys worked harder.
I listen to her. She ain't that good, so she doesn't deserve me.
This
She's
is how
like-
you could tell that I'm a voice actor and Maria is an artist. Where I'm like,
Yeah,
think
exactly.
about the
Like,
character, and she's like, no, these guys
Well,
rendered this shit.
no, this guy, the devil guy is like, you should kill him, and you're like, yeah, and then she's like, you're an angel talk, and you're like, bitch, shut up.
Maria's just like, yes, master.
I don't want to hear you. Shut up.
Don't you
You're
hear
boring.
don't you hear the devil guy first too?
Yeah,
That's why
Yeah.
you're just like, okay, you just take the first thing.
yeah. It's like, go kill him. I'm like, okay. Don't have to tell me
Sure.
twice.
As soon as the angel starts talking, Maria's just like, bye, Felicia. I'm going to kick him in the dick.
She does not hear it. It's just dial tone.
Yeah,
like
my
that
brain is
sad
like,
trumpet, like that.
she sees the demon and then she goes, aren't I supposed to have an angel? And the angel's talking, but all she hears is that doo doo doo. If you'd like to make a call, please hang up.
yeah. I'm just like, my angel was just basically like, connecting.
It's like that Halloween episode of It's Always Sunny where every person talks about D and she becomes more like a bird. Maria
Yeah.
just sees a pure ostrich. Just I don't understand you. I don't get it.
If you
Okay.
give her the
My thing.
Do we have any closing thoughts on this wonderful, spectacular Halloween spectacular that we are having here and why we love horror games?
hey, if they give you the chance to murder someone, do it.
That's the most.
I don't think those are
Halloween-
necessarily
that's the-
horror
closing thought.
games, though.
Not a horror game, but it's horror Maria. I'm fine with that.
Kill
You're
the
gonna
dead,
change
kill
my
people,
screen.
and then play with the dead corpses. That's Maria's ultimate
Yeah,
game.
yeah. You poke them in the hole.
Pokemon, no. Go play that
I'm-
Viscera cleanup game.
I'm
Maria.
gonna-
Friends.
Oh,
we're
I
friends. We're friends.
I was gonna do that job at real life, so
We're friends.
There's a
We're
viscera
friends.
cl-
We're friends.
okay,
Who's
well-
Rubba?
Anywho, I'm gonna say good night because this is getting uncomfortable. Thank you everyone for hanging out with us. Talk about some of our favorite horror games because that's what we love and a little too much.
my
for-
life is a horror.
My life is horror. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Bruno, and thank you, Chicken. I'm Link, and catch you all later. Good night. Bye.
Talk about me. I'm not going.